It was a kind of difficult question to ask on day one, but it was a question that I think that President Obama absolutely knocked out of the park.
He was strong on his facts, and he did it in a fairly relaxed, yet not too relaxed way.
And welcome to the Mississippi Link's post-debate analysis following the second presidential debate. We have three community panelists here with us tonight, and we'll give them an opportunity to introduce themselves, and we'll start with our only female panelist.
I am Kim Robinson. I am a local Jackson, Mississippi resident. I am a mom, a wife, and a lobbyist working with a national child advocacy organization for the past 9 years, and just really concerned politically about what's going on in this country. So, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Lonnie Ross, and I am a licensed Baptist minister, as well as the online editor for the Mississippi Link newspaper and media company, Jackson resident, and certainly very interested in the political affairs as it relates to not only this country, but also specifically to this community.
All right.
My name's John Horn. I'm a 20-year veteran of the Mississippi State Senate. I'm also a local business person here in the Jackson metropolitan area, concerned about where this economy is going, where we're going with regard to education, healthcare, and housing. And I think that we've got a very clear choice with regard to the presidential race in 2012.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to get into those specifics. I'm Othor Cain, the managing editor for the Mississippi Link newspaper. Now let's just get right to this, because it's been a long night of this debate, and the candidates actually went over time. And I guess the first question that I want to ask tonight, in your fairest assessment, do you think that the candidates stayed on point? Lonnie, we'll start with you.
Overall, I would say yes. Though I think that when you're in the midst of a political campaign, especially if you're desperate in a campaign, you're going to try to do as much spin as you can. You're going to try to get as much of your sound bites, those kinds of things. But I thought overall in this particular debate that the candidates got not only their points across, I thought, but a little bit more was going on in this. I think they were really showing the contrast between the two.
All right. Kim, did they stay on point? Untouched?
I think there were certain times where they went off point, but it was only to, I agree with you, to get and drive a point home. I think ultimately that President Obama did what he had to do tonight, which was to appeal to the American people and let them know, I want 4 more years of this job. I can do it. Let's stay the course. Let's go where we've been going. So I think that he was, he did a good job of explaining what policies and what exactly he has done instead of defending what he hasn't.
All right. So the Horn, did the candidates stay on point? Untouched?
And by all means, they were very much at the top of their game, both of them. Both had their moments. I think the president had more moments where he drove his points home than Governor Romney, but I also think that at times where they went off script or off the rules, it was to keep on point and to drive their points home over and over again. It's interesting that in this debate, contrary to the previous debate where I think Governor Romney had a lot more FaceTime with the people, President Obama had 3 minutes more of FaceTime with the American people. I think that spoke to his assertiveness and his interest in really coming home with the win, and I think he achieved that.
All right, I noticed a couple of times that there were missed opportunities, and some of the candidates did not answer the specific question. Senator Horn, I'll start this question with you, particularly as it relates to Libya. Do you think President Obama addressed that question adequately?
Well, he skirted the issue, and I think that it was an opportunity for Governor Romney. Governor Romney missed the opportunity because he could have said, wait a minute, you didn't answer that question. And it was a missed opportunity, and it allowed President Obama to finish strong when he said, look, I'm offended that you would even raise this question at the time that you did, given what was at stake and what is at stake. And as president, I'm commander-in-chief, I'm the president, and this is where it's going to be.
All right. Lonnie, your thoughts there?
What he said. I mean, no, actually, I felt the same way. I thought that the president did skirt the issue, but I thought that he actually, overall, he actually won that segment. I really thought that his response and reaction, because he put Governor Romney on the defensive, that he really talked about and highlighted how he the president's impression was that he politicized that particular issue, and that was just offensive that he would do that. He used those words. And I thought that resonated. I think that he got a point across so that, I'm not the president, so I can't speak for him, but, if I were in his shoes, I probably would have took an opportunity to address it a little bit. I probably would have. And I would have said, and I would have used Governor Romney. I would have said, you know what, in the heat of the moment, or in what was going on there, what would have been your approach? We tried to do it right. We wanted to make sure of things. We didn't want to jump the gun. We're not a trigger-happy country. We want to do it right. But mind you, when we get all the facts and we line it up, if it requires for us to use force, or it requires for us to do the stuff we're to do, we're going to do it. But I acted presidential. How are you acting?
All right, very good. Kimberly, missed opportunity for you?
No, it absolutely was not a missed opportunity. In fact, he was able to call out Governor Romney whenever Governor Romney said that they did not announce and say that it was an act of terror on the very first day. President Obama was able to come and say, yes, we in fact did. He could not go about answering the question much different than he did, because he had to give an explanation, and it wasn't a yes or no question. It was a question in which he had to explain how he appoints people and how he works with these people, and that he puts them in danger when they are going to their specific appointed post. So it was important for him to explain what the position did and not just look at the top layer of what we get from the media every day. So I think it was an absolute win, and I think it left Romney a little bit baffled on how to come back and not sound completely insensitive. Of course, this was on the heels of Secretary of State Clinton falling on the sword today, saying that she accepted full responsibility for not expanding the actual security that was asked for. So I think that it was a kind of difficult question to ask on day one, but it was a question that I think that President Obama absolutely knocked out of the ballpark.
Since you mentioned Secretary Clinton, I wasn't going to ask this question, but I'll follow up with it. Do you think President Obama defended her as a leader should?
I think it's early to answer that question, especially in the wake of what he was facing today, which was a presidential debate. I don't think that he could have come out today and said much more than he did say. He did act presidential in that way, instead of coming out and finger wagging or anything, or saying, I told you, she did it. He instead took the opportunity to say to the American public tonight, yes, it was my responsibility as a president. Everybody that's under my administration is under my guidance and under my supervision, and so ultimately I take responsibility for what happened. So it was absolutely.
He went even further. He said, "Look, these are my people.
Mm-hmm.
I meet the caskets." And I thought that was a really strong moment for him. And to me, he defended the heck out of Hillary Clinton. But he said, we're still going through the evaluation of this. We've got to get to the bottom of it, and we've got to get the folks who did this.
Another one of many moments where I felt he was very, very presidential tonight. And it was kind of like, look, I'm the president. You're not. You're governor. And, even the lady, one questioner even came up and said, she acknowledged the president, even though the question was for Governor Romney. And then when she started with him, instead of saying Governor Romney, she said Romney. And it was kind of ironic, because I thought that throughout the entire debate, President Obama got his point across. Mm-hmm. I am the president. And matter of fact, I'm a competent president. You're just a governor trying a wannabe. And it kind of came across that way, I thought, but especially during that particular piece.
Right. It spoke to the target audience, the independent audience. Should I say independent audience? I don't know that I necessarily believe in an independent audience, but that was made up of and comprised of suburban women. A lot of those questions were asked by women. And a lot of those questions were posed to President Obama, which meant to me that he was there. They're looking for him to give a little bit more of a substantive answer. They want something that they can actually say they can feel good about. Most people don't know and understand policy the way that we at this table understand policy. So the average person didn't get the last debate. The last debate was debatable. The president was aloof. He had to make up a lot of ground tonight, and I think he did a wonderful job.
All right, let's move on. A lot of people, particularly some of those folk that were in the live studio audience, consider themselves undecided, and trying to make a decision, and you can argue that one way or the other. But for a lot of them, and for a lot of people in this country, the economy is going to help decide this election. And one would argue that Governor Romney has a strong jobs background, being a business owner. Senator Horn, this question for you. How do you think he fared as relates to growing the economy and putting people back to work, Governor Romney?
Well, I think that the governor held his own in the debate. He held his own on the question about the economy. And he has an asset that the president doesn't. And that asset is the president's 4 years. And in terms of being able, anytime you're dealing with an incumbent, you got his record that you can harp on. You can talk about his deficiencies and so forth. And I think Governor Romney did a good job of staying on point about the economy on the president's watch, extenuating circumstances notwithstanding that 8 years of the Bush administration might have led to a lot of the mess that the president found himself with. And yet I think the president was able to say, look, here's where we were, here's where we are now, and here's where we might have been had we not come in and done the things that we did. I believe I think they probably had a draw on that issue. That the president, folks are facing tough times, and everything's personalized. What am I doing? How am I doing right now? But if you ask the average American, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? I think most of them would say yes, because 4 years ago we were on the precipice of perhaps the largest depression in the country's history, as opposed to the largest recession since the Great Depression.
All right, Kimberly?
As far as the economy and jobs are concerned, I think that to the average person, and I'll put myself in that position right now, they don't understand the numbers. So if they are still working and they are still employed and they have not been affected, of course they don't see the president as doing a bad job. But as far as growth, and that growth has been slow, growth is still growth. So a couple of years ago, to come back from where we were only 4 short years ago, I think the president has done a tremendous job, but he's going to have to, if given another 4 years, he's going to have to do better. And I say that with knowing that the president is not the one that can do this alone, that he has to have a Congress that will work with him, that will help him to create legislation that can actually pass. And I just want to go out and clear this one point up, where Governor Romney said that we had a supermajority at one point in the Senate, and that was only for about 9 weeks. So, and there was no major legislation that could have happened in that time. The supermajority ended at when we lost Senator Kennedy. And we have not been able to gain that ground back since then, because there's been a great surge of other groups, such as the Tea Party, that have come along and pushed a different agenda forth.
All right. Yeah, get the last step.
Well, yeah, and that was the one area in the debate that I wish that Obama really grabbed the bull by the horns, because I agree with there's both assessments. I think you're right on the money. The economy is such a big issue, and the Republicans and Governor Romney, they're using that, so hard against them. But to me, the natural response for the president is not only to say, look, this thing was horrible when I got in. We were about to totally crash, just like what you said. Not a recession, but probably the worst depression. This thing was just a catastrophe waiting to happen. I stopped that. That's what he should be telling the American people. I not only stop that, but now if you give me 4 more years, the stuff he's talking about, I've already positioned myself to even do that. I think he can get that point across. He just, for whatever reason, he kind of spends more time defending or deflecting, his so-called 4 years record and all this attack. But I think what he should do is turn that around and go on the offense and say, look, I not only stop that, but going forward, we're going to do what he said and some.
I want to unwrap this just a little bit more, though, because going into this debate, President Obama acknowledged that he clearly lost the previous debate. Some would argue that it was strategy. He admitted to Diane Sawyer on ABC News that he had an off night. So strategy, off night, give or take that. But the pundits say that he could not come into this town hall style debate being an angry black man. Therefore, he could be too rough, too overzealous. So what are your thoughts there?
I think that has a lot to do with it. We treat race so precariously in this country. And if Romney were president and was say that it would be taken a different way than for a strong, attractive, young black man to be able to say it, it comes across as arrogance. And to some extent in that first debate, there was a little bit of arrogance about how he was responding in his nonverbal communication to what Romney was saying. Notice that his nonverbal communication this time was a lot more reserved, presidential, cool, but not to the point of seeming aloof. And I think he really hit a home run with his composure when he was answering the question, but also when Romney was answering the question and the camera was on him.
All right. You were emoting in your previous answer, so what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I did notice that even towards the beginning of the debate, in the early stages of it, there was some combativeness going on. I mean, and I thought it was really interesting because I thought that Governor Romney he appeared to be rude. He appeared to be, all of the things that he did in contrast to the president. The president at times would speak up or would even interrupt. But even then, it was more controlled. It was more balanced. He just seemed to be more presidential and seemed to be more in control, more in charge. So there was a lot more going on in this particular debate. And I just thought I give him an A+ as far as how he handled himself in contrast to how Governor Romney. I think Governor Romney, to a degree, really was. He looked more, what do you want to call? He was more like an angry white man. But I don't know.
He was aggressive. He was indeed aggressive, and I would say to that that in contrast, I would give Governor Romney a B-. I don't think he completely lost. I think that he was able to get some points in there. I think he was able to do a good job. But I think what President Obama did was his job, was to get out there and to tell people exactly why they need to elect him for 4 more years. I think Governor Romney was on the defense a lot tonight. It made him, it really did make him look like the angry guy in the room this time. But it made,
But to the notion of Obama having to be reserved going into this debate.
He was. His eye contact was very good. He made good contact and he had good conversation with the moderator. He even kept Governor Romney on time. Even when several times during the debate, Governor Romney wanted to go completely opposite on a question that was asked by an audience member, which, by the way, I thought was extremely rude. As that audience member was brought there, it was a town hall forum. They were supposed to be able to have, the mic, per se. And so to take that amount of time from them was rude.
All right. If you guys had to assess one moment tonight that stood out to you, what would it be?
Wow. I thought his finish, I thought it was awesome. I thought his last 2 minutes.
He being?
The president. I thought that when he closed out on Green, I guess the guy's last name was Green, but when he spoke to him, he addressed him by name. And when Governor Romney had his 2 minutes to respond, he started it, but his was more of an attack. It was an attack again on the president. The president took a different course. He really restated his course, and he said, look, this is what we've been doing. and then this is what I'm going to do. This is why you should re-elect me for another 4 years. I just thought he slammed it on his conclusion. I thought was on the money.
What stood out for you? What moment?
There were several moments, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it in one word, and it was probably not mentioned as much as I would like it to have been, but it was about children. And children was what stood out for me, or, you know, the not mentioning of children. The fact that gun violence was brought up, but not really addressed in a way that, you know, that names how many kids are actually dying because of gun violence every day. And in terms of education, what we can do going forward, to punt it to and say we offer opportunities to China to come in on math and science was a missed opportunity for Governor Romney to turn it back around and say here domestically we can work on education reform and do a better job of educating kids right where we are by focusing and concentrating dollars in the United States of America. So to bring home strengthening families, to not really have brought up poverty as one of the main issues, especially extreme poverty. That has
Romney did mention poverty.
He did mention poverty, but not in the terms that it relates to children, not in the terms that it relates to single moms, not in the terms that it relates to families, which are all things that are connectors. I think that all of those things are connected to health reform. I think all of those things are connected. I mean, I'm just wanting to connect all the pieces and show how somehow if we shored up all those things, that children who ultimately will have the future here and who will also be leaders, our leaders in the future, we need to make sure that we strengthen those people. We need to make sure that we put children as on the table and talk about it in an open way.
All right, very good. Senator, what stood out for you?
Well, I'll say three different things. Whoever prepared Governor Romney for the debate evidently wanted to prey upon the American people's xenophobia, if you will, about China. It's China, 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 China. And that was kind of interesting to me that they prepared him to go after the economy and outsourcing and blame it all on China, and then the president's weakness in terms of dealing with China's, in terms of the undervaluation of the Chinese dollar and so on and so forth. I thought that was interesting as a strategy. I don't think it quite worked. The second thing is that, to Kim's point about the whole family values issue, it really only reared its head in a significant way when the gun control issue came up, the assault weapons. And it was interesting that they practically had the same answer. They were not, that probably was the point where they agreed the most in the whole debate, was in their response about assault weapons. Neither one of them really came out and said, yeah, well, we're going to ban assault rifles. They turned it on family values and kids and parental involvement and so on and so forth. And then the third thing was, the thing that stood out to me the most is, no, you didn't say that. You pitched them 100% to allow him to deal with the 47%. Whoever told you that you need to go there should have told you, whatever you do, don't go there.
That was the
right.
He pitched the president a soft pitch that he knocked out of the park.
Right. And I revised my answer because that's what I was actually going
You
to.
don't get to revise.
But I have to because, you know what? It came to me while Kim was talking. And while she was talking, I thought about it right before and I said to myself, you know what? There was a moment that really stood out. That guy opened his mouth and said he cares about, I want to correct this, he cares about 100%. And then the president of the United States came back and said, he said, wait a minute, what about them 47 that you talked about? Yeah. So that was the moment. That was the key.
I love all of y'all, 100% of you. Do it convincingly.
Right.
Do it where you believe it.
Right.
It rang hollow, and it was obviously his attempt to get to the 47%, but he shouldn't have gone there.
And he wanted to get there first. He wanted to get there first. An off-camera remark that you made as relates to China. What's the relationship with former Governor Haley Barbour?
Well, you know, the former Governor Barbour, along with representing China as a major client with his once, it's former at one time, now current again lobbying firm. China is one of their clients. In addition to that, Iran is one of their clients. So, you know, when the governor's sitting there, one of the biggest Republican standard bearers, biggest fundraisers for the Republican Party, represents China, and he's over there just beating on China, it was obviously a tactical effort.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so just two more questions, and we're going to close this thing out. In your fairest assessment, who won the debate? Lonnie, what's up?
Do I need to say it? I thought the president, hands down, it was clear, it was decisive.
30-second answer as to why you thought that.
Well, he was totally presidential. He called him out. He called him up without saying you're lying, because that's what he was doing. He actually said you're not telling the truth. I mean, he actually just said what he had to say. He called him and stuff that was clearly, and he did it in a way where he was saying, no, you're being naughty. And the American people don't deserve this. What they deserve is a president and someone who's presidential. So he really, I thought, made a clear contrast between himself and the candidate, the contender.
All right, Kim?
Stylistically, he was completely different tonight.
He being
President Obama. I apologize. President Obama did the job he was supposed to do last week, and 2 weeks ago, and he absolutely knocked it out of the park by addressing every single question. Maybe not getting right to the answer, but showing the American people that there is no easy one way, yes, no, up, down answer, but that it's a complex job to be the President of the United States. So I think he did a wonderful job of doing that, but he also did a good job of standing down the myths and the untruths that were exposed by the other side, that being Governor Romney. And that happened a lot the last presidential debate, and I was so happy to see him say, well, show me the plan, tell me how this dollar amount is tied to the number of tax cuts that you're trying to give. You know, so he did a good job of showing why he's better for the job.
all right. And Senator Horn, in your opening remarks, you said that that the American people had a clear choice. Who do you think won the debate tonight?
Barack Obama won the debate. I just want to say, you said staring down the myths or staring down the myths?
Myths.
I think probably both. Obama
you should say touche.
was solid. He was assertive. He was presidential. He was strong on his facts. And he did it in a fairly relaxed, yet not too relaxed way. He was able to convey to the American people his compassion for them, and he's willing to shoot straight with them and tell them the facts of the matter. It just seemed that Governor Romney was overreaching a lot of times, and he came across as a guy who was willing to say anything to get you to go with him. Obama made some statements that obviously not everybody's going to agree with, but he shot straight. And I think that came across very well in a very positive way. I quite frankly would give Romney B plus A minus, but I would give Barack Obama a double A plus.
All right, very good. Final question on a grading scale of A to F. Rate Candy Carly as the moderator tonight. John, what's up with you?
I think she did a very good job, given who she's dealing with. And you got two guys. One of them is the president, and one wants to be the president. And you know, that's a lot of power to have to try to juggle and manage. And I thought that she was as even tempered as she could possibly be. She took both of them to task when they is trying to stay on point, went overtime, or wanted to say something when the time really should have been up. I think she did about as best as you could offer or hope for. Too strong a hand might have been insulting and might not have given the American people what they needed to hear, because sometimes she needed to let them go, and sometimes she was able to peel them back.
And so, what grade would you give?
I would give her a B plus.
B plus. All right, Kim.
I think she had a pretty tough act to follow after the vice presidential debate.
Following Martha Raddatz.
Martha Raddatz was a wonderful moderator and did a great job. So the world was watching. I think she did a fair job after Martha. With me saying that, I would say that I would give Martha an A.
Martha.
No, I'm sorry, Martha. No, Martha an A.
Okay.
But in stark comparison, Martha an A, and Candy would get an A minus. I think she kept them on task. She kept them on time for sure, and she kept them in line. She was less engaging on the questions, which I thought was positive on her part.
Mhm.
So yours was an A minus?
Yeah, mine was an
And what
A.
was yours again?
B plus.
B plus. Okay. Lonnie.
Yeah, this is the one area where we part ways for sure. She's C minus at best. And because I thought she had her moments. I did. And some of the things that you said, I definitely observed that. But I just really thought that she had a very difficult time controlling, especially Romney. I thought she really did. And it bothered me because it seemed like she would always get them under control at the beginning, and she would keep talking as, like when Governor Romney would talk, she would keep talking until she talked herself out of what she was getting them to do. And I thought that, so she showed, I just felt that she too many times allowed that to happen and allowed them to have too much control. But that was just my perception. I thought that, I agree with you guys that it was a tremendous task, and then you had to compare, if you compare last week with the vice presidential one, it really was kind of unfair and a tough one for her, but the C minus is the best.
Well, it was
Yeah.
hard.
And the reason that I even asked you guys to grade them, because there was a lot of talk prior to the debate about her job, her position, particularly because of the fact that she publicly said she would ask follow-up questions, and both of them agreed that that would not happen.
Right.
So the world was watching her just as much as they was
I like
watching
the fact
them.
that she asked follow-up questions to get them to get at what the answer was.
Right.
All right.
Especially when they skirted around it.
All right, very good.
Right.
On that note, that's all the time that we have for this post-debate analysis. I want to thank all of you for being with us tonight. Thank you for your offerings with us tonight. The final presidential debate is next Monday, so we'll be right back around this table. Quick note, please go out and vote, and you don't have to have an ID to vote. I'm Othor Cain. Good night.